Hey, bold women, listen up. Did you know that the way you share yourself in a relationship can either make you stronger or make you vulnerable in ways you don't even realize? There are 5 things you should never reveal, not because you're hiding, but because your peace, your power, and your confidence depend on it. If you want to protect your heart, stay unshakable, and keep control of your happiness, you need to know what these 5 things are. And today, I'm going to break them down for you. When you're a bold woman, people notice. They see your strength, your confidence, the way you carry yourself through challenges that would crush others. But what they don't always see, and what you must protect, are the things that truly move you, the emotions that lie underneath that strength. Your emotional triggers are not weaknesses, they are reflections of the experiences that shaped you. Yet, when you reveal those triggers too quickly, too easily, you hand people the very map to your peace. Not everyone deserves that access. Not everyone should know what makes you flinch, what makes your voice tremble, or what kind of words can pull you apart from the inside. Think about it. In every relationship, people learn how to treat you by observing how you respond. If every hurt, every disappointment, every little frustration is written on your face, it becomes easier for others to use that information, sometimes consciously, sometimes unintentionally, to gain control. Emotional triggers are like open doors. Once someone knows where they are, they can walk right in whenever they want. But when you protect those doors, when you keep your reactions measured, you maintain power over your own emotions instead of handing it away. Being bold doesn't mean being transparent about everything. It means being selective, knowing when to speak and when silence says more. The people who truly care will notice your silence and try to understand it. The ones who only care about control will push harder, trying to make you react. That's the difference between someone who wants to connect with your soul and someone who just wants to test your strength. A bold woman learns the difference early, and she guards her peace accordingly. You see, emotional triggers often come from past pain, something someone said that made you feel small, a situation that made you doubt your worth, a memory that still echoes when you least expect it. These triggers become part of your story, but they don't have to define how you respond. When you keep them hidden, it doesn't mean you're pretending to be someone else. It means you're choosing to be in control of your narrative. You're deciding who gets to hear your story and how much of it they deserve to know. In relationships, vulnerability can be powerful, but only when it's shared with someone who's proven they can hold it with care. Too often, people confuse vulnerability with emotional exposure. Vulnerability is strength guided by trust. Exposure is giving everything away without knowing if it's safe. A bold woman understands this difference. She doesn't hide because she's afraid. She hides because she respects herself enough to wait until the person in front of her has earned the right to see her deeper side. Every time you let someone know exactly what hurts you, you give them the ability to hurt you again. That's not paranoia, that's emotional awareness. Because even good people can say the wrong thing in anger, and even kind people can use your vulnerabilities to win an argument. When you keep your triggers private, you create emotional boundaries. Invisible lines that remind you that your peace doesn't depend on anyone else's behavior. You stop expecting people to protect you from pain and start protecting yourself from unnecessary wounds. Imagine someone teasing you about something you're sensitive about, maybe your past, your body, your dreams, or your mistakes. If they see it shakes you, that reaction becomes power in their hands. But if you remain calm, centered, and unbothered, that power stays with you. You're not giving them the reaction they want. You're teaching them that your emotions are not a playground. You're showing them that you can feel deeply without losing control. That kind of calm doesn't come overnight. It's a skill. And like every skill, it's built through practice, patience, and awareness. Sometimes the hardest part of being a bold woman is that people assume you're unbreakable. They think your silence means you don't care, or that your composure means you don't feel pain. But you do. You just choose not to broadcast it. You allow yourself to process quietly, to heal privately, to breathe before you react. You take your emotions seriously enough to handle them with grace instead of letting them spill out in every argument. And that's what sets you apart. Your ability to feel everything and still remain grounded. Emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful forms of strength. It's the ability to recognize your triggers without being controlled by them. It's being self-aware enough to know what bothers you, but emotionally mature enough not to let it dictate your reactions. The moment you let someone see that certain words or actions make you lose control, they begin to test that boundary again. But when you stay centered, when you choose calm over chaos, people realize they can't shake you easily. They respect you more, or they leave. Either outcome protects your peace. Think about how many times people have tried to provoke you, maybe through jealousy, criticism, or emotional manipulation. They say something waiting for you to snap, cry, or explain yourself. But when you respond with quiet strength, it confuses them. They can't figure you out, and that mystery becomes your shield. That's what emotional discipline looks like. Responding from wisdom, not from wounds. When you stop reacting to everything that bothers you, you start mastering the art of emotional control. You start living on your own terms. A bold woman doesn't need to prove her strength by arguing every time she's misunderstood. She doesn't need to show her pain to make people realize they've hurt her. She knows that not every emotion deserves an audience. Not every situation deserves an explanation, and not every trigger deserves a reaction. Some things are meant to be processed in silence, behind closed doors, where healing happens without performance. She saves her emotional truth for those who've earned it, for people who see her value without making her prove it. Emotional triggers can become your teachers if you let them. Every time you feel anger, sadness, or frustration rising up, ask yourself, what part of me still needs healing? What am I still carrying that doesn't belong in my present? When you use your triggers as tools for self-awareness, they lose their power to control you. You begin to understand that the real strength isn't in hiding from your emotions, but in managing them wisely. Hiding your triggers from the world isn't about deception. It's about self-respect. It's knowing that your emotions are sacred, not public property. And when you reach that level of emotional discipline, something shifts. People start to treat you differently. They realize they can't play with your feelings or guilt, trip you into submission. They see that your calmness isn't coldness, it's command. You're no longer reacting out of habit or hurt. You're choosing your response. You're no longer explaining your pain to be understood. You're protecting your peace to stay balanced. That's the difference between a woman who's easily shaken and one who's emotionally untouchable. When a bold woman dreams, she dreams differently. Her goals are not fleeting thoughts scribbled on paper. They are silent promises she makes to herself, promises born out of resilience, ambition, and quiet determination. But here's the truth that most people don't realize: not everyone can handle the weight of your vision. Not everyone deserves to hear your plans before they've taken form. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is share your long-term dreams too early, especially with people who don't have the same mindset, energy, or belief as you do. There's a certain power in keeping your vision private. It's not secrecy, it's strategy. Every time you talk about your plans, you give away a piece of your energy. You start to seek validation, approval, or even applause, and in doing so, you risk losing focus. The more people you tell, the more opinions you invite, and opinions can become noise. That noise can shake your confidence, confuse your direction, and make you doubt something that once felt crystal clear. When you keep your long-term plans hidden, you keep them pure, unpolluted by outside expectations. You give them space to grow in silence. A bold woman knows that her journey is sacred. She understands that people will see the result one day, but they don't need to witness the process. Because the process isn't pretty, it's filled with late nights, setbacks, small wins, and silent growth that no one claps for. When you talk about your plans too soon, you invite people to judge your progress. They start to measure your steps before you're even halfway there. But when you move quietly, the only measurement that matters is your own growth. The truth is, some people don't want to see you succeed, not because they're evil, but because your courage exposes their complacency. Your ambition reminds them of everything they're not doing. So when they hear your big goals, they'll try to plant small doubts. Are you sure? That sounds risky. What if it doesn't work? Their words may sound harmless, but they chip away at your confidence little by little. That's why bold women stay silent about their long-term moves. They let their actions speak. They let success become the announcement. Protecting your vision is like protecting a seed. In the early stages, it's fragile, easily crushed by negative energy or careless criticism. You wouldn't dig up a seed every day just to show people it's growing. You'd water it, nurture it, and trust the process. That's how dreams grow too, in the dark, in silence, away from unnecessary attention. You owe it to yourself to give your goals that same level of protection. When you stay quiet, you give your vision time to take root deeply before the world gets to see its bloom. There's another reason silence matters. It keeps you grounded. When you announce everything, you create pressure to perform. Suddenly, it's not just about achieving something for yourself, it's about proving yourself to others. And that pressure can make you rush, skip steps, or settle for shortcuts. But when no one knows what you're building, you're free to move at your own pace. You can fail privately, adjust quietly, and start again without judgment. That kind of freedom keeps your creativity alive. In relationships, especially romantic ones, keeping your long-term plans private doesn't mean being distant. It means being self-assured. It means knowing that your dreams are part of your identity, not something that needs validation from someone else. Even with a partner, there are parts of your vision that should stay yours until you're ready. Because sometimes sharing too much can create expectations that weigh you down. A supportive partner will understand that your silence isn't secrecy, it's focus. Your plans are the architecture of your future. Every decision, every action, every idea you're shaping today builds the foundation for what's coming next. When you guard those plans, you're not hiding, you're investing in your own growth. And that investment pays off. When the time comes to reveal what you've been working on, people will be surprised, impressed, maybe even speechless, because they'll realize you were building something extraordinary while they were busy talking. Bold women understand timing. They know that not everything needs to be shared in real time. Sometimes the best move is the one no one sees coming. There's power in mystery. When people can't predict your next step, they can't interfere with it. They can't sabotage it, question it, or influence it. You stay 2 steps ahead, not because you're playing games, but because you're protecting your growth. When you share your long-term plans, you give people the illusion of involvement. They feel entitled to comment, to advise, to critique. But when you hold those plans close, the only voice that matters is your own. You stay connected to your intuition, that inner guide that knows what's best for you, even when the world doesn't understand. That intuition grows stronger in silence. It becomes clearer when you're not seeking external input. There's also an emotional side to this. When you talk about your dreams too early, your brain rewards you with the same satisfaction as if you've already achieved them. It's called the talker's trap. You get a false sense of accomplishment that can drain your motivation. But when you stay silent, that fire stays alive inside you. You feel the hunger to keep moving. You stay disciplined because there's no applause yet, only purpose. The boldest women don't broadcast every move. They build in silence and let results echo. They understand that visibility is not validation. They don't need everyone to know where they're heading. They just need to get there. The less you say, the more you do. The less you explain, the more you achieve. Silence becomes your shield, and success becomes your statement. And one day, when you finally reveal what you've been working on, the dream you protected, the goal you nurtured, people won't remember that you were quiet. They'll only remember that you arrived confident, prepared, and unshakable. They'll wonder how you did it so seamlessly, not realizing that every step was taken with intention, away from the noise, protected by your silence, powered by your belief. A bold woman understands that confidence isn't about being flawless. It's about owning who she is, flaws and all, without letting anyone else define her worth. Insecurities are natural. Everyone has them. But showing them freely in relationships can shift the balance of power. When you reveal your doubts, your fears, or the parts of yourself you think are less than, you hand people a lens through which they can judge you, manipulate you, or take advantage of your vulnerability. Confidence, on the other hand, is invisible armor. It protects you not by hiding your existence, but by hiding the parts that could weaken your position if exposed too early. Insecurities often appear as hesitation, over-explaining, or seeking constant validation. In relationships, these behaviors can create tension, misunderstandings, and even dependence on the other person's approval. A bold woman recognizes these patterns in herself and chooses restraint. She doesn't need to constantly justify her choices, her feelings, or her boundaries. By hiding her insecurities, she maintains emotional stability and ensures that interactions remain based on respect, understanding, and genuine connection rather than pity or reassurance. Confidence is cultivated through self-awareness. When a bold woman identifies her insecurities, she faces them privately, works on them intentionally, and refuses to broadcast them. She might struggle internally, have moments of doubt, or feel uncertain, but she never allows those insecurities to define her actions publicly. This doesn't mean she is dishonest. It means she has the maturity to recognize which vulnerabilities are safe to share and which are better kept guarded. The process of self-improvement and quiet resilience strengthens her presence, making her less reactive to criticism or manipulation. Hiding insecurities also allows a woman to test the authenticity of those around her. People who care genuinely will respect her boundaries and support her without exploiting her doubts. Conversely, those who seek to control, dominate, or criticize will eventually reveal themselves. By maintaining her armor of confidence, she separates the supportive from the toxic, creating space for relationships that nurture growth and mutual respect. Insecurities often stem from past experiences, rejection, failure, or unmet expectations. While these memories can shape behavior, they don't need to dictate present interactions. A bold woman uses them as lessons rather than excuses. By choosing to mask insecurities, she ensures that her past doesn't compromise her present or future. This restraint gives her the freedom to interact with clarity and authority, showing the world her competence, intelligence, and grace rather than her anxieties. Confidence as armor is not about arrogance or superiority, it's about stability and presence. It allows a woman to navigate difficult conversations, set boundaries, and make decisions without being clouded by self-doubt. When insecurities are concealed, She engages with others from a place of strength rather than fear. People respond to confidence instinctively. They respect it, admire it, and are more likely to take her seriously. In essence, hiding insecurities transforms internal work into external influence, enabling her to assert her needs and values without compromise. There's also a strategic aspect to this silence. When a bold woman hides her insecurities, she preserves her energy for actions rather than explanations. Time spent seeking reassurance or defending herself is time lost from pursuing goals, building connections, and shaping her life. Confidence as armor means directing energy where it counts toward personal growth, meaningful relationships, and progress. Those who are truly aligned with her journey recognize the power in her restraint and value her presence, not her vulnerabilities. By keeping insecurities hidden, a woman also creates a sense of mystery and depth. People are drawn to those who project quiet strength, curiosity, and independence. Her inner work remains private, but her outward demeanor reflects composure and decisiveness. This balance, vulnerability managed with discretion, is magnetic. It encourages respect rather than exploitation, admiration rather than judgment, and connection rather than dependency. Insecurities, when exposed carelessly, can trigger unnecessary drama, tension, or power struggles. A bold woman avoids these traps by maintaining composure. She might feel the sting of doubt internally, but externally she engages with confidence. This consistency sends a clear message. She is self-aware, self-sufficient, and resilient. People learn that she responds to life and relationships from a position of strength, not fear, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Ultimately, hiding insecurities isn't about denying reality. It's about choosing empowerment over vulnerability in untested spaces. It's about creating a safe emotional landscape where growth and connection can happen on her terms. Confidence as silent armor allows her to navigate relationships with clarity, assert boundaries with grace, and build a life rooted in self-respect and intentionality. It's the subtle, powerful way a bold woman protects her heart while still engaging fully with the world. A bold woman understands that every relationship is unique, with its own rhythm, challenges, and growth patterns. Comparing your relationship to others, whether to friends, family, or even social media portrayals, can create unnecessary tension, insecurity, and unrealistic expectations. When you constantly measure your bond against someone else's, you risk undermining the trust and connection that exists between you and your partner. Hiding these comparisons is not denial, it's wisdom. It allows you to nurture your own relationship authentically without outside influences distorting your perception. Comparison often stems from a need for validation or reassurance. You may notice how someone else's partner expresses love, gestures grandly, or handles conflict, and then unconsciously measure your own relationship against that standard. This can lead to dissatisfaction, even if your relationship is healthy and loving. A bold woman recognizes this trap and chooses discretion. She acknowledges what she admires in others, but does not let it dictate her expectations or create friction. By keeping comparisons private, she ensures that her energy is directed toward growth and appreciation of her own relationship, rather than envy or judgment. Relationships thrive on authenticity, communication, and shared understanding, not on mirroring someone else's love story. When a woman hides comparisons, she protects her partner from unfair scrutiny and herself from the anxiety that comes with constant evaluation. This does not mean ignoring red flags or pretending problems don't exist. It means distinguishing between constructive reflection and harmful comparison. Constructive reflection focuses on solutions and improvement, whereas harmful comparison creates tension, resentment, and unrealistic benchmarks. A bold woman develops the emotional intelligence to recognize the difference. Social media amplifies the temptation to compare. Everyone's highlight reel is on display. Curated moments of happiness, adventure, and affection. It's easy to feel that your own relationship is lacking in comparison. A bold woman understands that these portrayals are selective snapshots, not complete narratives. She protects her peace by choosing not to measure her bond against superficial images or fleeting impressions. She focuses instead on the depth of her connection, the trust built over time, and the shared experiences that truly define her relationship. Comparison can also invite unnecessary interference from outsiders. Friends, family, or acquaintances may offer opinions based on what they see in other relationships, creating pressure or judgment. When you hide your comparisons, you reduce the influence of external voices. You remain centered on your own experience, listening to your partner, and cultivating mutual understanding without distraction. This discretion is a form of loyalty, not just to your partner, but to the integrity of the bond itself. Moreover, hiding comparisons helps prevent self-sabotage. When you constantly measure your relationship against someone else's, you may unconsciously push for behaviors, gestures, or decisions that don't align with your shared values or dynamics. You risk changing the natural flow of your connection to fit an imagined ideal, which can erode authenticity and create tension. A bold woman resists this urge. She invests in her unique bond, letting it grow organically, guided by mutual respect, trust, and shared goals rather than outside templates. A healthy relationship requires attention, communication, and intentionality. By hiding comparisons, a woman keeps the focus on what truly matters, understanding her partner, nurturing emotional intimacy, and fostering a bond built on real experiences rather than imagined standards. She cultivates gratitude for the small, everyday gestures that sustain love and avoids the trap of measuring success by someone else's yardstick. This focus strengthens trust and reinforces the partnership, making it resilient against external pressures or fleeting doubts. Hiding comparisons also protects emotional stability. Constantly thinking about how others love differently can create unnecessary anxiety, insecurity, or dissatisfaction. A bold woman channels her energy into appreciation and growth instead. She observes, learns when necessary, but doesn't let external examples dictate her feelings or actions. This practice of discretion cultivates inner confidence and a sense of security that stabilizes the relationship over time. Ultimately, avoiding relationship comparisons allows a woman to be fully present in her own bond. She invests in understanding her partner, celebrating the unique ways they connect, and resolving challenges together without distraction. She doesn't let jealousy, envy, or societal standards shape her perception of love. Instead, she creates a safe, nurturing environment where her relationship can flourish on its own terms, guided by authenticity, trust, and mutual respect. This focus on her own connection rather than external measures ensures that her love is grounded, resilient, and truly her own.